Good morning, everyone. Dr. Vicky here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center. Today is June 6th. Hello, Miss Wren. Miss Wren had to come and show herself. Today we have a new moon in the sign of Gemini. Gemini is an energy of communication. And of course, the Wren is known for small but mighty and voice that is heard. The voice that is heard. So Miss Wren came in to be our nature's, our little nature spirit, reminding us that we must speak and have our voice be heard. And I think maybe Mr. Wren is saying, make sure you vote. Anyway, we do have a new moon in the sign of Gemini today, the sun and moon in Gemini. But the sun and moon are not the only things in Gemini. We have Mercury in Gemini, Mercury the ruler of Gemini in Gemini. We have Jupiter, the planet of expansion in Gemini, conjunct Mercury in Gemini. Conjunctions always bring more power to a situation. So it's a very powerful Gemini time. And not because 4 isn't enough, we also have Venus in Gemini. And Venus just came off her conjunction to the sun. Venus in the heart of the sun. Venus Cassimi, starting a new Venus star point cycle. Venus will now, she's still with the sun. We're not going to see her for a little while. But when she does reemerge into the sky, it will be in the evening sky. So she will be a Venus evening star. And Venus evening star has a very different energy than the morning star, which Venus has just moved out of. Venus morning star is much more of a warrior energy. Venus evening star is much more of the opposite of that. It's more of a Libra energy, as opposed to Venus as a morning star is more of an Aries Taurus energy. New beginnings, planting seeds, breaking the earth, that kind of thing, where this is more of a harvest energy as Venus comes back up into the sky as an evening star. And so even in that respect, we have moved from a point of fighting to now a point of understanding perhaps and working together. So that's a very positive, I think, thing about this time. We do, of course, with 5 planets in Gemini, there's an awful lot of conversations. There's an awful lot of information. Gemini is a sign of duality. And so we are seeing the best in people and the worst in people. Okay? We're seeing things we never imagined could happen. We're seeing the Republicans backing a convicted felon. I mean, that's pretty astounding. But, they're holding their side, I guess, of the bargain with the devil that is Trump, actually. He can only be as powerful as the Republicans allow him to be. So they do need to take responsibility for that. And if they are, they are. If they're not, they will soon have to do it anyway. All right. Enough politics. The new moon is always a time, a new opportunity. Hi, Charlie. Yep. Even Charlie has something to say today with the new moon. And so new moons are about new beginnings. Gemini is a mental sign. It is an air sign. So it's new thoughts, new conversations, new projects. Maybe this is the time to start your memoir. This is the time to write your book, or at least start the beginning chapters of it, where they write the introduction. If that is something that you are aligned with. But this is a time, and it's also a time of conversation. So perhaps it's time for you to talk to that person you've been thinking about, and just call them up and say, hey, you're on my mind. What's going on? And perhaps there is a gift in that. I want to point out that we have some new roses coming out here these little red roses here, little pinky roses. And then, of course, we have the wall of roses. These are all wild roses, crazy, crazy wild roses here. And when we started this, you saw all those lovely roses in the garden there, the yellow and the red. But we can see that these roses are starting to come out. It is June. June is the month of roses here. And you can't be out here and all you can smell is roses. And when you're not smelling roses, you are smelling this hydrangea. And this is the time when this hydrangea comes up. And it is spectacular. Excuse me a second while I take a sniff. Gemini is a sign of discrimination. It's a sign where we do discriminate. It is an air sign. So don't forget to smell the roses, right? This is it. Smell the sweetness of life. Hear the birds communicating to each other. Now, most of the communications that birds do when it's not like, hey, I'm over here, check me out. It's hey, I'm over here and this is my nest and stay away. So there is a communication of both inviting in and saying, this is the boundary that I'm setting. So both of those things are apropos for this new moon. Wherever this new moon may fall in your chart is where a new beginning starts. If it's the first house, it could be a reinvention of self. If it's the second house, it could be a new set of values, or it could be a new project, a new maybe business. If it's the third house, write that memoir. If it's the fourth house, maybe it's time to open the lines of communication within your home, or perhaps open your home up as a place of learning, because Gemini is also about learning. Gemini is associated with school and this compulsory education, right? Elementary school, middle school, or grammar school as we used to call it in the city, high school, right? Not higher education, but the basics, the black and white, the fundamentals, right? All right. If it's in your fifth house, this is a very highly creative time. Again, write the book, write the screenplay, whatever. Write the what do they call that when you the prospectus, right? Write the prospectus. Sixth house, time to start a new regime of health. Learn about health. Take a class or read a book or learn something new that's going to make you healthier. Seventh house, how to relate, right? The books that you're reading, educating yourself on that. Perhaps some new contracts, some new business contracts, perhaps a wedding. This is, it is June, and June is one of the big wedding times. Eighth house, maybe you need a new accountant, right? The eighth house is the house of where it's connected to Scorpio. It's where we surrender to spirit. It's where we come up against forces greater than self. It's a very psychic house. Perhaps the conversation you need to start is one with your own, with your most intimate, deepest relationships. If it is the ninth house, perhaps it's time to take a class on metaphysics. I'm going to be doing another Kabbalah class, and I believe it's going to be starting around the solstice. That's my plan, if I can get people together for that. But, you don't have to come to my class. Is there something you're interested in learning? Is there something that's going to expand your vision about the world and your understanding of our place in the world? 10th house, perhaps a new job, a new opportunity. But it all has to do with communication. 11th house, perhaps you want to start a YouTube channel. You want to get involved in more technical things, or get together with groups of like-minded people and start brainstorming how we can create a world that's fairer, a world that people have access in a for sort of fair, raising all boats. If it's your 12th house, perhaps it's a conversation with spirit. Perhaps it's a time for you to quiet the mind and have all the conversations you're doing be with spirit. So many, many ways that this can manifest itself. It does help to know your chart. If you want to know your chart, you can go to astro.com and a chart will be erected for you. And you just have to find out where this new moon is happening. And the new moon is happening at 17 degrees of Gemini. So wherever 17 degrees of Gemini is in your chart, this is where the new beginning happens. Okay? So those are just very, very briefly how this new moon could affect you. So we're up here at the upper garden now. It's a little bit noisier because we're closer to the road, but I do want to point out these roses over here and our rhododendron, and this is a black cherry tree with all these white flowers on it. So, and over here, something that always blooms in this time of year. Hold on a second, I'll get you over here just to show you. Oh, I just found my scraper in the grass. This is called a bridal bush. This is called a bridal bush. So that's what's going on, guys. Have yourself a wonderful day. Hi, Charlie. Look, Charlie followed me. I know, honey. Yeah, I know. Isn't it exciting? So for me and Charlie and Apollo and Michael and all the critters and fairies from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center, have yourself a wonderful new moon. You can check out the new moon video I did with Ona on my channel, Moon Shadows, New Moon in Gemini. There is a few conductivity issues, but if you just stick with it, it's just in a couple of places where, our lips are moving, but the words aren't coming out at the same time our lips are. Not to worry. Charlie, come here. He's too close to the road for my liking. He'll follow me though. Check that out. I just finished, before I got out here and walked around the garden, I just finished my 6/6 portal reading. It may seem like all the readings are coming out at the same time. It just happens that the new moon and the portal seem to be aligning with each other, which I think in itself is interesting. Charlie, Kibbles, come here, you. All right, I got to go get my cat. All right, everyone, have yourself a great day, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Much love. Namaste.